So how can you devise your brand strategy? Well, there's a few steps here. So what I want you to think of is, what is your company or your personal mission? What is it that you want to achieve in this world? Once you know that, and I think that's really important, you can then start building upon that mission to make sure that your branding is consistent and coherent in enabling you to achieve that company mission or personal mission. What's your USP, your unique selling proposition? Where are you different? Most people, there's many companies out there that are already doing something that you may be thinking of doing, but how can you be different? What can you bring to the market which is different to the other 300, 400,000 companies out there which are trying to appeal to the same target audience? What I want you to do is think about, if you have got current clients, what do your current clients and prospects already think of your brand? So you can do little surveys and you can send things out and seeing if what your company mission is or where you want your brand to be, whether the actual people on the outside are thinking exactly the same thing. Are you in sync? What qualities do you want them to associate with your brand? It could be, I want them to think the brand is quite humorous, or you're funny, but you're educational and informative at the same time. So branding is just a lot more than just a logo, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit more. Do actual market research on your competitors. What I think people do quite often is they don't do enough research when it comes to building their brand, the name of their brand, the colours, the tone, how they want to be portrayed. So look at your competitors who have the exact same target audience as you and see what they do. Is there a common theme throughout all the other companies, or are there differences? And where can you be different so you have that unique selling proposition? So when we look at branding and marketing, again, we're looking more at branding today, and we're going to be looking at more offline and online marketing in subsequent units. But a rule of thumb is you can think of branding as a rule book. It could be more of your strategic, so like your tone of voice and being consistent. And then when you look at marketing, it's more tactical, where you're actually going to put that into play, whether it's via social media, whether it's in person doing workshops. So branding is your rule book, marketing is your playbook, how you're going to actually carry that out to make sure that that brand awareness and what you want people to associate with your brand is actually what you want as an individual or as a company. So building a brand image. So there is the visual thing, and it is important. Your logo, the color scheme, the fonts, how does it look? How does it feel? Your cultural identity is, again, your tone of voice, your style, having your own unique style. So if you are vlogging, have you got your own unique style which is specific to you? Other things, making sure you cover the basics, the website, making sure that you are using the exact same colours on your social media, on print, on actual websites, making sure you're using the exact same fonts, heading 1, heading 2, and being consistent with that. So again, as we said, business cards, social media, avatars, header images. So little things like your Facebook page banner, Twitter if you're using that, YouTube channel, making sure everything is consistent throughout. And again, try and make it unique. Don't try and replicate other people. Yes, do market research, but be you. You are an individual, even if you do go down the route of a company brand, but how can your company be unique? Because you do want to stand out, and don't be a copycat. Develop a tagline. So if you are going to be like a company brand, you could develop a tagline. So it could be Shredded by Science, the leading online education provider for personal trainers. So if you are a company brand and it's a name that really doesn't make sense, you can use a tagline to call out your target audience and say what you do on the tin. So if there's a few options there, so if you are looking for branding and stuff like that, or a new logo, you have a couple of options there on the screen. So how to build a brand that stands out? Consistency, consistency, consistency. Just being consistent in anything in life is going to get you results. If we're looking at dieting, if we're good for 3 days and then bad for 4 days, we're being inconsistent, so we're going to get inconsistent results. And that's exactly the same when it comes to business. Do what you say you're going to do and be consistent at putting out valuable content, and there's every single detail. Be like overly anal with stuff like making sure the colours are right, making sure the fonts are okay. Don't just use whatever font is default based on the software you're currently using. Sync your brand with your avatar. If you have a brand that appeals to that target audience, your avatar, then that's a win-win situation. If your branding is out of sync, you won't really have a successful business. They need to be in sync. So you really need to know who your avatar is to then be able to manipulate and mold your brand to appeal to that target audience, and really appeal to that target audience and repel those which you don't want to appeal to. That's when you can actually reduce the competition, when you're really specific with who you're targeting. Think of brand distribution channels. Be present everywhere. If you are a one-man band or one-woman band, then it might be that you're not on all of the social media platforms, but the ones you are, try and have at least 2 on the go. And we're going to talk about this in Unit 3, a lot more detail, but get your brand out there in multiple different places, because part of building your brand is not just creating a nice looking logo, but it's being able to get it out there in front of people to build that brand awareness. Make sure everything you post on social media is recognizable. Again, if we look at the illustrations here, without a logo, without anything or covering up our Instagram handle, you'll be able to look at the images and people will go, that's Shredded by Signage. Big brands, you know, if you look at certain color schemes, you'll know that if just by looking at the colors, you'd associate it with specific brands. That's because of the consistency of doing so. Provide content to demonstrate what your brand stands for. So once you have your brand, you need to let people know what you actually stand for. What is your story? What is your brand story, whether it's personal or company? And give that information out there so people can actually build that know, like, and trust. Get it seen by the masses. If you're starting off, then maybe look at getting some guest blogs, podcasts, shared webinars, relationship building, like good old-fashioned networking, going and speak to people and using their following and their brand to actually build your own personal brand. But again, making sure that it's not a take relationship and that you can provide value first. If you are trying to look to network and build relationships with people which have a similar avatar, then always approach it with you asking if they need any help or if you can provide any value to them, rather than just trying to take. And trust me, it is really annoying. And from personal experience, when people just message you because they want something, it's not a nice feeling.